we talked about this earlier this week in regards to like a parenting adult children and
Yeah.
how does that work and what does that look like and versus you know a young adult that's still kind of a kid and somebody that's like an adult.
Adult.
You know, and when I say adult, I mean, I'm talking somebody that's, over 25, probably married, you know what I mean? It's like, and it's just kind of crazy because I was thinking about that the other day and one of the things that I had to really come to the realization of with my kids is that I have to kind of sometimes take a step back and go, okay, well, when I was that age, would I want my mom telling me what to do and how to do it? And I'd be like, oh, hell no.
Mm-mm.
And so I was like, okay, well, you know what? I can't, unless they ask me for my advice, I really should, it's none of my business. And I really shouldn't have an opinion. Now, it's not to say that I don't occasionally have opinions, but I try not to talk in my outdoor face.
Yeah, I really should take a page out of your book because I think like my daughter's 22. She's pushing that age of adult. Although on the flip side of that, I'm still paying all her bills. So
And there is a difference. Yeah, there's a difference. I mean, no, and I get that. And I totally respect that. Yeah.
yeah, but there are times where I probably should like just let her go do her thing and I don't know, make her own decisions and mistakes and whatnot instead of I am one of those that's very quick to be like, oh, don't do that. I did that and like I screwed things up, or if I could do it again, I would have done it this other way. I am very quick to like to tell my daughter that. Sometimes she listens. I would probably say 60% of the time she doesn't. She's just like, all right, whatever. Sucks to be
That
you.
was you. This is me. I'm gonna have a different outcome. And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. And I think, because I was really thinking about this a lot in, over the years and stuff like that. And we didn't have cell phones.
No.
We had landlines and payphones. And you always used to call, collect, and really fast go, I need a ride and hang up so that they didn't get charged. Because using the phone back then wasn't inexpensive from a payphone.
Yeah.
And, God knows none of us ever had any money on us.
Oh no.
And so, so you start to think about that. And I thought, part of, and I could be wrong here, but it's like, it's crazy to me because now I think kids, loosely termed because they're older, but younger, like they don't know how to make any decisions because they don't have to. We learned how to make decisions and we learned the consequences of making the wrong one
yeah.
because we didn't crowdsource everything.
Yeah. My husband will even say that about our daughter, that he wishes that we would have let her fail more often instead of watching her struggle one time and then both swooping in to make it better or to guide her in the better direction. If not just like, coming in right away and just being like, no, here, let me do it.
Right.
Like I said, she's 22. I can't put the cassette tape backward on that one. It's what it is now.
No.
But I do find that she'll ask me something, like a relationship advice thing, and I have to. Thankfully, it's via text, and so my face is not speaking for me. But I do find that I have to kind of pause for a second and not be so quick to jump and say, "Don't do that," or
right.
Whatever the case might be. But
I know, and
yeah,
we come from a place of like because we probably have been there, done that, or a friend of ours has. You know what I mean? So it's really more we're trying to save them some of the heartache that we went through, and yet I don't know. I mean, because what some people may not realize through this particular podcast is that Cynthia is very intuitive and she does psychic readings and stuff like that. I do as well. So there's a lot of things that we talk about spiritually that, if we don't allow our kids to do something because we jumped in too quick to fix it, then they're going to learn the lesson later on. Because if it's a lesson they're meant to learn, they're still going to get it.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like. And I don't know. I know I like to rescue and, save everybody too. And, but I'm learning through some challenges that, sometimes I have to just learn how to just go, okay, we're going to take a deep breath and we're just going to kind of roll with it and see where this leads because, life sometimes. And sometimes we just didn't see some of it coming. Yeah. Cause I know as parents, you know, I don't know which generation it is that's, got this cancel culture against their parents right now, but
Mm.
I mean, there are parents out there I realize that have done really atrocious things, and I understand that, and I am not trying to take that away. But for the most part, we are out here doing our best. We are not getting up in the morning and going, "How the heck can I screw up your life today?"
I,
And um and it's hard. Life can be hard. And I think what makes it doubly hard is that when our kids actually see us as flawed and not perfect because they think we had all the answers, because up until a certain point we did.
yeah. Here's a prime example. Um, my husband and I, in the last year, we've been in marriage counseling because it just got to a point in the relationship where I felt like, what was the point anymore? And in us going through this counseling, and it's been amazing. Like our relationship is better now than it was before we were married when we were just dating. And that's one of the things that I've told Shelby. It's like, do not be afraid to speak up for yourself. Do not be afraid to be heard. Do not be afraid to tell your partner, how you're feeling. Because that was a lot of the thing with me was that I never wanted to lean on him because I felt like he already had so much on his plate that he didn't need one more thing, that I was supposed to be a partner, not an anchor. And that was because I was seeing myself as an anchor instead of a partner. And so it turned into all these things and a lot of resentment on my part. And so I had explained to her, I was like, because she said, well, I don't understand. Like, you guys suddenly were going to get a divorce and like all of these things happened. And then, like, but you guys never fought. People who get divorces fight all the time. And I was like, no, they don't. And I said, because we didn't fight, because we didn't have the conversations, the discussions,
Mhm.
it just, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, it was like death by a thousand cuts type of a thing. Just more got piled on and more resentment and more pain. And it just kept going and going and going. And so I said to her, if you can learn anything from what we have, this relationship that we've had for the last 25 years, understand that it's okay to disagree with one another. And it's okay to have a discussion that maybe gets a little animated because you know that the two of you love each other. And the whole reason that you want to have this conversation is because you want to come to like a meeting ground, whether, not that it has to be a compromise, but at least that the two of you understand where the other person is coming from. And so that was one of the things. I was like, parent thought that I've been like a great parent by, showing her that these two people are together and they don't fight, because my parents are the opposite. My parents are constantly like, we call them the Bickersons because they just nit at each other and bicker at each other nonstop. And so I thought, I don't want to be like that. But instead
Right.
I took like a complete 180.
Yeah.
And didn't have
Yeah.
any conversations. Instead, it was just like, he would ask, is everything okay? What's wrong? I'm fine. I'm fine. Oh, dude, I was not fine. And then, so that's one of the things, like, I had to tell my daughter, like, I am flawed. For the last 25 years in this marriage, I have been flawed. And I thought that I was doing the right thing. I was not. I was doing the opposite. And now I'm doing because now it's like, she'll come home from college and she'll get a little bit upset because we might have a moment where we are disagreeing. But our therapist is like, you guys are having a disagreement so that you can understand where the other person is coming from. And so then she's just like, oh my God, no, now you guys are going to like split up. And I'm like, no, we're not. We're having the conversation because we don't want to split up, because we want to make sure that the other person is being heard and understood. And so, yeah, like that was that. I would say that in this whole like marriage counseling thing, that was one of the hard things was explaining to Shelby that we screwed up. Like,
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
we screwed up during your formative years, and we're so sorry. Don't do that. Do what we're doing now.
Yeah. No, and I can totally respect that because you know, could there be a little finger pointing in my situation? Yes. And that's a big and because I was part of the relationship too, so I'm not the one that stepped outside. However, I didn't communicate, what I was going through, what I was feeling, different things like that. And again, I then became resentful over certain things, even though it was a life I had curated. It was a life I wanted. It was a life I, desired to have. I wanted to work part-time. I wanted to be able to raise my kids. I wanted to be able to be home with them, and so all of these different things. And, and again, we didn't fight. We didn't fight. But again, then you'd also have to have a conversation to have a fight. You know what I mean? It was just, and I can see now where in an effort to keep the peace, I did a lot of damage, unfortunately. And, so I'm not putting this squarely on his shoulders. It's not his fault per se. I mean, but he didn't want to work on the marriage to repair it. And I don't feel like, I know people will disagree with me and that's okay, but I don't think you can repair a marriage if it's only one person working on it.
No, you cannot. Like my therapist will say, and we used to think he was just blowing smoke up our butts at the end of every session. But he would say, "You guys keep up the good work. Like you're doing the good work. It's hard, but you're doing it, and that's all part of it." And and so we asked him one day. Like, I think Jeff even called him out on. It, and he was just like, "Are you just like fluffing us up?" And he goes, "No, I am being very sincere here. You guys both came to this place of therapy because you both wanted it to work, and you guys had like shown your raw centers where things are very very painful, and you've shared it with each other, you've shared it with me, and you guys want to work on it, and you guys are working on it individually and you're working on it together." And so he goes, "I can sit here and watch the two of you, and when one of you is in pain, the other one is right there to console and like rub a shoulder or hold hands." And so he goes, "And I can tell that this is sincere and real." And he said, "I've been doing this a very long time. I can tell when two people come to me and only one of the partners wants it to work and the other one is only there to get the other one to shut up." And he goes,
Right.
this is not what I'm witnessing." And my best friend is a therapist as well, and she will say the same thing, because I'll ask her, like some of the like the back stuff of like, "Am I doing this right?" And she's like, "100% you're doing this right. You're showing up. You're doing the hard work. Yeah, you're crying or you're angry or whatever, but this is part of the hard work."
Mhm.
And so yeah, I think that you know a- I also know people who are that couple where one of them shows up to get the other one to shut up because they're like,
Yeah.
"I'm not broken. You're the broken one. And so
Right.
we should go because you got to fix you because you're jacked up."
Right.
And then the jacked up person is like, "Yeah, I'm really messed up," and not even like saying like, "Yeah, I'm messed up, but guess what? You're messed up too. Like, let's work on ourselves."
Oh, let's put this together. Let's put this boat back together.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.